What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch. Fam, hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight. Hope everyone has had a great Tuesday. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Hope you guys are ready for another live 2024 fantasy football draft. We are hopping into an Underdog fantasy football draft. Best ball mania tonight on the agenda. And while I throw together another beautiful squad for the 2024 season, get in the live chat. Any fantasy football questions that you guys have, redraft, dynasty, or best ball, whatever it may be, throw them in the live chat. We're going to have some fun tonight. We are going to talk some fantasy football. It is that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Tuesday, August 27th, which means a week from this Thursday, we are going to have the first action of the 2024 NFL season between the Ravens and the Chiefs. And the following day, Friday night, we are going to get the Packers and the Eagles, first ever Friday night week 1 game. And then we're going to have the rest of week 1 conclude on Sunday through Monday. 2 games Monday night. We are going to get a lot of NFL action very quickly. And you guys are going to start finishing up drafting all your teams over the next week. So it's here, whether we want it to be or not. And draft season is ending, which is always my favorite time of the year. It really is. And it always goes by so fast. And I feel like this offseason especially went by faster than ever. But I'm excited nonetheless. I think it's going to be a great season. And the season itself is also going to go by fast. So let's try and enjoy it. And let's try and get ready for week 1. Because it's right around the corner. So let me know if you guys have drafted in all your leagues yet. Do you guys have drafts coming up this weekend? I know for some people, Labor Day weekend, a really popular time to draft. For some people, they want to avoid Labor Day weekend because sometimes people are going out of town and stuff like that. So are you guys drafting maybe Tuesday or Wednesday night right before kickoff? Let me know how many drafts you guys have left. If you guys have already drafted, let me know how you're feeling about your respective squads. Okay, I have 3 drafts. No, that's not true. Let's see, I have the auction draft, Catch Fam auction draft Saturday night. I have Pierre's fantasy in-game draft also on Saturday night, I believe, because I switched the leagues. I'm now in the Superflex League. Then the Catch Fam number 5 is drafting Tuesday. I feel like I'm kind of fiending for one more league this year. I got time Wednesday night. All right, I'm going to enter the lobby at 10:52 p.m. Eastern time. Best Ball Mania. If you guys are new to Underdog, promo code the Catch link is down below. Get you a first time 50% deposit match. 3, 2, 1. I am entering the draft. Up to $1,000. No longer up to $250. Up to $1,000. So make sure you guys take advantage of that if you're new to Underdog. Plus, you will get a free pick'em as well. All right. Let's talk some fantasy football, ladies and gentlemen. In terms of like news for the day, we have some. J-Dub's good to see you in the draft. If anyone else is in the draft, let me know. I don't recognize any other names there. Mike White signing with the Buffalo Bills. Biggest news story of the day. Kyron Williams will be the Rams' punt returner this season, according to Sean McVay. I just never understand one of your primary skill position players returning punts or kicks. I get we saw Cooper Kupp, Julian Edelman, but even those always made me afraid. When we were seeing Antonio Brown return kicks, punts for the Steelers, it's I just feel like it's so risky. I don't know. Maybe this is good for Blake Corum owners though. Jamar Chase is expected to play in the regular season opening game, so told you guys that I'm not worried about any of the wide receiver drama. Haven't been worried about Chase, and I'm just gonna continue to not be worried about him. Give me Tyreek. I feel like my Tyreek Hill shares are really high up there. Tim Patrick, cut by the Broncos, now signing with the Lions practice squad. Elijah Mitchell placed on season-ending IR for the Niners, so good news for Jordan Mason drafters, Jordan Mason owners. Packers placed A.J. Dillon on season-ending IR with that neck stinger hanging around. So good news for Josh Jacobs lovers. Browns cut Donta Foreman. Now I do have I'm at 9% Donta Foreman on Underdog. He was a guy, especially early in the offseason, and I was kind of like, well, they go into the regular season with Jerome Ford, Pierre Strong, then I think we could potentially see Foreman stay here and be a goal line back. At times, at least. And if anything happens to Ford, then Foreman will be the next guy up. But obviously, not good. But then I've read Foreman's going to get signed to the practice squad potentially, and then they might elevate him. I don't know. I think maybe I'm coping because I liked Foreman as a late round pick. I don't know. Odell Beckham's going to start the season on the PUP list. Peyton Hendershot traded to the Chiefs for a late round conditional pick. Robbie Anderson cut by the Niners. Generic Prince cut by the Chiefs, so it's officially Carson Steele season. The Chiefs cut a couple players today too. Justin Ross, Kadarius Toney, Luis Reese Zammit. Remember Pete? One stream brought him up, but yeah, they have finalized that wide receiver room, and Juju Smith-Schuster is part of it. Kendre Miller starting the season on IR. Desmond Ridder released. Terrace Marshall released. Jelani Woods is on IR due to his recent toe surgery. Noah Brown was released. Tyler Higbee's going to start the season on the PUP list. Bailey Zappi was released. Not a whole lot of this is super fantasy relevant, but it is interesting to see. I think the biggest things are going to be Jordan Mason maybe rising up in terms of a handcuff. Jamar Chase practicing. That's probably it. I think Jerome Ford believers can, this is a decent moment. I'll go Olave here. All right. What's going on, Ghost Hunter? Good to see you. J-Dubs, we got you locked and loaded. Wait, Double says Devontae. I got offered Brees and Devontae for CD. Should do the trade. Depends on the entire roster. I know it's a pain in the butt to type it out, but scoring format, full roster, really going to be important here. You're going to tear down at wide receiver, but getting Brees might make it worth it. What are your thoughts on Kyron being the team's punt returner? How do you think it will affect his backfield usage? I mean, I'm not going to like completely react to this right away, because if he starts this season as the punt returner, then fine. Is he going to stay the punt returner? I don't know. You know, I don't think it's going to impact him crazy negatively, but I do think, like, obviously if you're returning punts, then you're going to see drives where Blake Corum theoretically gets more involved. So I don't want to overreact and act like this is the end of the world and like we should push. Like Kyron Williams go to the 212 tonight. Although the first, beginning like the second round there was pretty wide receiver heavy, but we saw JT, A-Chain, and Barkley a little bit slid back. But I don't know, are we going to see Kyron drop in drafts? I just did 2 drafts, real drafts right before this, and Kyron didn't really fall in either of those drafts. Yeah. Went at the 2.1 and the 2.5. So now Underdog, best ball, you're going to see a little bit less emphasis at running back early. So you see Pacheco and Henry here in the 3rd. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on the Kyron situation? Ghost Hunter, I'm in 2 leagues. They both draft this Saturday. I would imagine a lot of leagues drafting Saturday and Sunday. Yep, it's Jordan Mason was the right running back to draft for the Niners, which was what I have been saying for the past few weeks. Crazy to think that beginning of August was a few weeks ago. Donta Foreman bags are sad. So are mine, but once again, maybe I'm coping, but I'm not going to overreact here. Maybe he'll be back with the Browns sooner rather than later. Chunk, what's going on? What are the badges? So glad J-Dubs is here because I always forget. Red badges are 1,000 drafts. Black is 500. And I feel like I got a red badge really early. Can't you also get a badge for amount of money won? Malik Washington stocks up due to Odell starting on PUP. I think that's a good evaluation. Odell was like a guy was really taking late in drafts, underdog drafts to start the offseason. CD, one of the few Cowboys worthy of an extension, Parsons being the other. Yes, I'm implying something by that for a certain non-playoff winning quarterback. It's fair. I mean, I still think Dak is worth the extension. It just depends on how many years. Like, yeah, Dak has been part of the problem in the playoffs specifically, but outside of that, he hasn't been a problem at all. And really, it's just a mismanaged team, in my opinion. Mismanaged offense, back and forth with offensive coordinators, Mike McCarthy, no risk. Who was this guy taking Allen and Mahomes? All right, give me a little Pickens action here. But yeah, I mean, and I think like I think more teams honestly need to emphasize like developing quarterbacks sooner rather than later, and or drafting quarterbacks sooner rather than later. Like, I everyone hated, dang it, I wanted Xavier Worthy here. Hated the Michael Penix pick for Sorry, let me make this pick. Man, I feel like this is kind of late for Jalen Hurts to be sitting here. I'll go Kincaid. I wasn't really planning on taking a quarterback this early, and I would imagine Team 5 here is going to be ecstatic to get Jalen Hurts with Devonta Smith on his team. And if not, Hurts going to go soon anyways. But, yeah, everyone hates Michael Penix pick for the Falcons, but, like, I just think having the next man up or depth is just super important. You know? Taylor, just have my homely draft. If I don't win, then nothing makes sense anymore. Yeah, I have felt good about all my drafts. And he passes on Hurts. Goes McLaurin. Can't knock it, though. I've felt good about all my drafts. Nothing crazy. But I just feel good. I will say I just drafted in the in-game league 3 wide receiver format, and I kind of wish I drafted a bit differently. I have a lot of depth at running back, but like I only drafted 5 wide receivers. I just didn't really draft how I usually draft in a 3 wide receiver league. I mean, my first 5 picks were St. Brown, Henry, DJ Moore, Higgins, Xavier Worthy. So I felt good about my start. And then I took Kamar in the 6th. Then at 7.4, it's just kind of like sitting there. And I ended up going Monty, Hollywood Brown, Brian Thomas, Lad McConkey, Keon Coleman were all there. I thought I'd be able to get Sutton or J-Mo at the 8.9, and I didn't. But then Kittle fell. So I took Kittle at the 8.9, which was great. Then in the 9th and 10th, I went Zach Moss and Spears. Then Jordan Love fell to the 11th, which I felt like was great. Then I just kind of felt like Jaden Daniels in the 12th and Hawkinson in the 13th outweighed any wide receivers available. Now I got Hawk on the IR. And then I went Demarcus Robinson in the last round. And really the wide receiver value just got absolutely torched so early on. So I don't hate how I drafted, but I usually would have one more wide receiver through those first like 6 or 7 rounds. But yeah, overall, I feel pretty good about all my drafts. I'm assuming this means you feel good about your draft, Taylor. Saying there's a chance for the foreman. Yeah, there's a chance. But let's not get too excited. Albert, what's up? Last few days for best ball, I know. Tomorrow might be my last Best Ball Mania draft. It might be my last Underdog draft of the year. So we'll find out. Still in like 30 slow drafts right now. Thoughts on having Kyren, Mixon, and Connor? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, this is fine. I mean, like, definitely seen a lot more teams come out with just 3 running backs and like full PPR formats, which I think is okay. But yeah, I'm okay with this. I really like there's no indication that Connor's not going to be a workhorse running back. Mixon, as long as he stays healthy, I think is fine. His ceiling is a little bit, potentially down because there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense. And I think Kyron's fine. I'm not worried about Kyron. Yeah, I think tomorrow might end up being my last Underdog draft because I've just got to shift everything to week 1 of the redraft season. And we're like there, ladies and gentlemen. Are you high on JSN? Yeah, I like JSN at his ADP a lot. A lot. So I'm not like reaching to draft JSN or anything, but I think he's going to overtake Lockett in that offense. You know, I mean, JSN was the number one wide receiver prospect last year for a reason. All right, I will scoop up Hollywood. We are going 0 running back over here. May go after Carr in one of my leagues that tracks punt return yards for some reason. I mean, yeah, right now I absolutely would. Absolutely would. Jason, good to see you. It was a pretty eventful cut day, that's for sure. At 76, Best Ball Manias might do a couple more tomorrow. What is the max number this year? Is it 150? Yeah, 150. I'm not even at 76. Can tell you that much. I'm going to end up with, see, I have 112 drafts done. I'm in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So that's what, 137? Yeah. That's not then I have one eliminator team. I drafted with J Dubs. I have no idea what I did. I have 7 weekly winners and I have 1 pre-draft best ball. Who's on my pre-draft best ball? I did a lot more of those the last 2 years. Stroud, Fields, Darnold, White, Monty Swift, Chuba, Keaton Mitchell, Pierce, Lamb, Collins, Diggs, J-Mo, Dobbs, Shaheed, Pearsall, Jalen Hyatt, Schultz, and Conquo Everett. I mean, it's not great, but it could be worse. I feel like my weekly winners entries are so random. I do know on one of these weekly winners teams, I drafted AJ Dillon. So, like, I thought about that today. Yeah, I mean, he's my RB6. This was a team where, like, I only drafted Rams, Packers, and Chiefs players. Outside of, I also have Swift and Jerome Ford and Kamani Vidal. Every other player I drafted is on the Chiefs, Rams, or Packers. So that was an experiment, to say the least. I really did not get in as many weekly winners entries as I thought I would this year. Surprising cut. Logan Thomas from the Niners. Wouldn't be surprised if someone picks him up unless he just retires or something. Shall see. Yeah, great Hurts value. It was kind of tough for me to pass on him, but I did, obviously. So. What's up with the hype around Kincaid isn't now a real option? Knox a real option? I mean, I do think that like Knox and Josh Allen have always had good chemistry and some, obvious chemistry in the end zone. But, when you look at things last year, like Knox was hurt. Don't get me wrong. But he still just wasn't even really ever involved when he was healthy. He had 2 games last year in fantasy that he played in where he gave you double digits if you're including week 18. So we'll just include it for the sake of the argument. And in both those games, he scored a touchdown. Those were his only touchdowns he had last year. But once again, I mean, he was hurt. He only played in 12 games, but even through 12 games, you just barely saw any usage out of Knox. And he did have a groin injury throughout the preseason as well. And Kincaid, let me make this draft pick. I want to kind of reach for Brian Robinson here. I mean, Kincaid was a little what's the word I'm looking for? Inefficient to start the year, but once they made the change of offensive coordinator and really got him involved, starting in week 7, I mean, he was great. Week 12, 14, and 16 were the only performances where he gave you single digits from week 7 through the end of the season. Every other game was a double-digit performance. So, and I think the other thing is, even if Knox is involved with this kind of Frankenstein wide receiver room that they have, which I'm not knocking, but it's definitely a change. Kincaid can definitely emerge as just a top tier, reliable target, for Josh Allen. So even if Knox is getting some attention potentially towards the red zone, Kincaid's still going to get plenty of attention as drives progress in terms of overall volume. So thoughts on my 12 team? We got Kyler, Kyron, Mixon, Amon-Ra, Moore, Andrews, Connor, JSN. Good squad here. Is it double or single flex? PPR, I'm probably flexing JSN, but everything else looks good here. Everything looks good. Should I try to trade? I mean, you don't really need to trade anyone. That's the thing that happens so often this time of year is like people draft a team and then they're like right away, like, who do I need to trade? And you don't really need to trade anyone here. It's a good, solid squad. You drafted these players for a reason, so don't completely overreact here. I mean, so see. Yeah, I don't see any glaring holes. I mean, maybe you could. Depends on who's on your bench as well. So do you have Dobbs as well? That definitely helps. I mean, you could try and package like JSN and Connor, or Connor and Dobbs, see if you can tier up somewhere, but I don't think you really need to do anything. Kyron punt return was his means he's going to return punts. I think Kyron is still fine. I just don't want to overreact to this news, I mean, he was so productive last year. He only played in 12 games last year and 15 total touchdowns, 1,200 rushing yards, 32 receptions for 206 receiving yards. I get Blake Corum is there. I do. But I would just not overreact to this news quite yet. We'll find out. Who has Waddle? Where did Waddle go in this draft? He went late. All right, give me Jerome Ford. I've drafted so many teams that have Zamir White and Jerome Ford. J-Dub says the same. Trade Connor, JSN for wide receiver upgrade. Yeah, you could definitely package those two. No Dylan, no Lloyd. Jacobs a top 5 back. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to say top 5. There's still, it's like, similar to Mixon situations. Like the ceiling's capped for Jacobs because you have so many, wide receivers, so many mouths to feed. And then you've got Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft there as well. So, yes, I like Jacobs. This is good news if you're a Jacobs owner for sure. But I think they're going to expect Lloyd to be back. So, yes, I don't think it's bad news by any stretch for Jacobs. But top 5, I'm still not ready to say. Still not ready to say. I don't know if they're going to get Emmanuel Wilson more involved. Man, I want to draft Gus Edwards here. I do. But I got to draft Tua. Got to get the stack. But I mean, Marshawn Lloyd's not starting the season on IR. He does have a nagging hamstring injury, so Javon Howard's going to IR. I mean, quite frankly, the Packers might be in line to sign a free agent running back. So, yeah, I mean, this is good news for Josh Jacobs. But I don't know if I'm going to say he's top 5 back. Most unfortunate cut has to be the Vikings cutting a guy named Lucky Jackson. Such missed meme potential. What's up, Slat Nate? Finally did my draft. My wide receivers are weak. I cannot lie. But my running backs are A-Chain, Gibbs, and Bijan. Wow. 12-team league. Also, Laporta somehow fell to me in the beginning of the 5th. Was this a keeper league? I don't remember. But, yeah, your running backs. Crazy ceiling there. Just drafted my first ever fantasy football team, says Cole. Was just wondering if you could brutally rate it. Give me some tips. It's 10 team with the 5th pick. Yeah, of course. I will brutally rate your team. What do you say my team? 12 team. You got Burrow, Bijan, Gibbs, Ayuk, Moore, Laporta, A-Chain. Kick is the Eagles kicker. Yeah, I mean, I don't think your wide receivers are bad. I'm not in any way panicked about Ayuk right now. I know some people are. I'm not. And I'm high on DJ Moore still. So this is a great team for a 12-team format. Was this a keeper league or like how did you end up with A-Chain? Did you draft Bijan, Gibbs, A-Chain, Laporta? Ayuk and Moore? How did this team happen in a 12-teamer? Some teams I see, like, no offense, and I'm like, how can I get in your guys' leagues? Terry, who'd you rather have, Mike Will or McLaughlin? You got Hurts, Hill, Pittman, Kyron, Connor, Ferg, Debo, Mostert, Walker, J-Mo, Mike Williams, Keaton, Ridley, Corum. I would rather have Mike Williams. You have so much running back depth, dude. Kyron, Connor, Mostert, Walker, Keaton, and Corum. And you have a pretty decent amount of wide receiver depth. I mean, if you really feel that strongly about McLaughlin, that's fine. But full PPR, I guess I'd rather have Mike Williams. Whole quote from McVay makes me more optimistic about Kyron than before the punt returner news, honestly. Said that Corum and Rivers are prepared to spell Kyron if needed. Yeah, I mean, they are going to run Kyron Williams into the ground. Like they are going to massively use Kyron Williams. So I am not worried about that. I mean, this is Sean McVay will just brutally use a running back. So I just am not ready to freak out about this. I gotta look here what late round stacks I'm gonna be targeting Carr, I guess. Opinions on JT this year. Drafted him. I don't know the most about him. JT will be fine. I mean, he was hurt last year. The Colts should be more efficient with a healthy Anthony Richardson. You know, they got a good little wide receiver core there. Once Josh Downs is back in action, for sure. A.D. Mitchell's looked fine in preseason. I mean, he's been hurt the last 2 years. But when he has not been hurt. He's been fine, you know? So just hope he's fully healthy this year, but he is the workhorse back for the Colts. There's really nobody else there, I think, that worries me in any way on that roster. I have been drafting a massive amount of Cole Kmet lately. Good start to this team. I mean, we need some depth at quarterback here. But a 0 RB team, we got Tua, White, Brian Robinson Jr., Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard, Tyreek Hill, Chris Olave, Brendan Ayuk, George Pickens, Christian Watson, Hollywood Brown, great wide receivers, Dalton Kincaid, Cole Kmet. Looking all right. See how it shapes out. Very nervous about A-Chain. I drafted him high. I know he's got a lot of risk. Do you think he could be a league winner or will be? I mean, yeah, but like, you don't even need to worry about A-Chain here. You have Bijan and Gibbs. Like, the fact that you have A-Chain too, I mean, you can flex A-Chain. The ceiling that your team has with those 3 running backs is incredible. Chase, what's up, man? How did your end game draft go? Where did you draft A-Chain at? If you're asking me, like in terms of the team I posted, that was a different team or a different league. I had 2 drafts tonight. So in the league that I posted that I have A-Chain, that's my like home league with Steven and our friends. And A-Chain was my keeper in the 10th. So that's a different league. My in-game draft went fine. I just went a little bit lighter at wide receiver for a 3 wide receiver format than I prefer. But I've got like really good running back depth, great tight ends, great quarterbacks. I'm just a little bit thinner at wide receiver than I prefer, but I still have good wide receivers. My keeper league, where we just keep 2 players overall, I got to keep Tyreek and CD. I drafted Puka, Goff, 2 other dudes I don't remember. I remember you doing a ridiculous amount of trades last year. Chase, okay, I wasn't sure if you're asking me about me or him. Slatton, how did you draft your team? I really want to know. Was that a keeper league or not? Your team is loaded for a 12-teamer. Yeah, I can pull up my 2 drafts from tonight after this too. Ghost Hunter 10-team league. I have the 2nd pick. Which player do you most recommend there? I'm stuck between whether to go for C-Mac or if he's still there, premium wide receiver. For me, it's still C-Mac. But if he's not there, flip a coin between Hill and Lamb. Who do you like more? I kind of prefer Tyreek Hill. Just because I think the Dolphins offense is going to be better than the Cowboys this year. But those were 2 top 5 offenses last year. So I don't particularly dislike either team or, well, either offense. But why do I like Jahan Dotson in best ball? There he goes. Jeez. Give me a little unstacked Baker money maker. My full team for 12-team full PPR was Hill, JT, A-Chain, Moore, Allen, Higgins, Dell. Yeah. The team is loaded. Yeah, I'd be interested to see the bench, but that team is loaded. I'll go Jalen McMillan. We'll take a little theoretical stack. Okay, I don't know why I like Jahan Dotson either, J-Dubs. I just do, okay? I just do. But I really need to not draft him because my exposure to him is already really high. He was one of my higher drafted players early in the offseason. So, I mean, I got sniped there anyways. As an OU guy, it would be hard to pass on CD. As a rational thinker, Tyreek is probably the better pick. I mean, really, for most offseason, Lamb has been the pick there for most people. I just am slightly higher on Tyreek Hill's overall ceiling. But I mean, Hill's also dealing with the thumb injury, right? 10-man PPR. We got Tua, Lamb, Cup, Devontae, Barkley, Mixon, Kincaid. Benches Coleman, Neighbors, Moss, Harris, Brooks, Caleb. Any changes? No, I don't really personally feel like there's anything that you need to change here. And I really think it's best like immediately after your drafts once again to like don't feel like you need to make changes right away. You know, you drafted your team for a reason. But yeah, I mean, Tua, Caleb Williams, you are fine at quarterback. Lamb, Cup, Devonta Smith. Is it a 3 wide receiver start? Coleman, Neighbors. It's fine. I mean, you're a little bit thinner at wide receiver. I'm assuming it's just start 2 wide receivers. You're flexing Devonta Smith? Is it just one flex? Barkley, Mixon, Moss, Harris, Brooks. Brooks going to hit the IR, I hope. Yeah, I mean, you don't really need to change anything here. Sorry, J-Dubs. Oh, you needed Baker? I'm not even looking at the board at all, I swear. Yeah, Godwin. Oh, my bad. My B. No, if Baker's sitting there at a good value, I don't even care if there's no stack involved. You know I'm taking my boy. All day long. On the bench, I have Tajay, Chase Brown, Coleman, Robinson, A.D. Mitchell. Yeah, I mean, this bench is fine given what you have. I mean, B-Rob, Chase Brown, Tajay, really good bench RBs. Coleman, I'm definitely okay with given the rest of your squad. Mitchell's, I'm higher on Mitchell than I was earlier in the offseason, but nonetheless, he's still fine here as well. Just loading up at tight end on this team. Chase, thank you for becoming a member of the channel. What a guy. What a guy. Emojis in the chat for Chase. Appreciate that. Dude, I'm really about to reach on Derek Carr here. For the love of the stack. Not going to lie, the Ben Simmons pick was kind of a panic pick. So you're flexing Devontae. I mean, yeah, that team looks fine to me. Tua, Lamb, Cup, Barkley, Mixon, Devontae, Kincaid is a really solid starting lineup. You do have a lot of running back depth. I mean, it's not always like a bad thing. You just prefer wide receiver depth and full PPR. Tyrik's offense hasn't really changed in a negative or positive way. They mostly have the same players, so I don't think his usage will change much. Plus, the Dolphins still have other weapons. Lamb may get 100% of the defense's attention since Cowgirls have no Arby's or other respectable receivers. Yeah, I mean, I like Brandon Cooks. I don't think that really changes what you're saying. Just took Tyreek second in a draft tonight. Yeah. I have drafted Tyreek over Lamb. It's weird because teams let CD get free underneath routes just to keep him from scoring. It's true. I mean, CD's still going to get a massive amount of usage, massive amount of targets. I mean, can't really go wrong there. Less scoring equals less fantasy appeal, though, so you're kind of making my point even more. Yeah. Pure volume. I just found the argument between Lamb and Hill at the beginning of the offseason, with Lamb being like the consensus guy over Hill, interesting. When you really break down the numbers and like look at things, their numbers were not that different. And Hill had more receiving yards and one more touchdown. You just saw more receptions go to CeeDee Lamb. 135 for Lamb, 119 for Hill. And you have one more game played for Lamb. So I don't know, but I think it's also very likely that a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like I mean, here's the thing, like you're probably not going to see Lamb repeat as a wide receiver 1. Hill's been the wide receiver 2 years in a row. Probably more likely that a guy progresses like a Amon-Ra, goes from wide receiver 3 to 1. Maybe you get a fully healthy Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. Maybe you get a guy outside like Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown. I mean, it's just really hard to repeat as a fantasy wide receiver 1. $14 3 flex. Tua, Connor, Javonte, Hill, Evans, Ayuk, Rice, Deontay. That is a good starting lineup for a 14-man team. Watson as in Christian Watson? Josh Palmer, Pearsall, Chuba, Bigsby. This is solid for a 14-man league. And you got Conklin. Okay, I mean, that's not great. Not awful. Sometimes in like a 14-team format, you just got to punt a position. You know? So if that was a position he punted, then so be it. You're at a disadvantage, but the rest of the team looks pretty good for a 14-team league. So definitely light on running back. Connor, Javonte, Chuba. I mean, yeah, you're light. But wide receivers, quarterback, you did fine. What do you think about trading likely for Singletary plus a third in a dynasty league? I would not do this. I mean, assuming that your dynasty league is tight end premium, as many are. We've got Mark Andrews now with a mystery injury. Likely was pretty dang efficient when Andrews was out last year. I mean, if you really need running back depth and you're in a win now situation, then you can consider this. But to me, like a third round pick, does that really like equate to anything? Yeah, Christian Watson. Wide receivers look great on that team, Chase. I think Chase, the guy I'm betting on this year, Burr is healthy. I don't really see Amon-Ra outpacing the higher tier guys. He more so maintains consistent scoring floor. Can agree with Hill over CD, but that's about where I stop it at. We shall see. I just think that overall that the top tier wide receiver is really interesting this year because, like, I think you still have to go Hill, Lamb, Chase, St. Brown, JJ, AJ Brown. But isn't it just more likely that one of the guys on the outside finishes as a wide receiver one as opposed to the top two? Isn't that kind of what traditionally happens, at least? I guess barring any injury. I mean, I guess I'm kind of equating in one of these guys getting hurt, which isn't really fair. Dark horse candidates for me are probably Garrett Wilson. That might be it for me. Maybe Puka. I don't know if I see anyone outside of those doing enough. See, like for me, and I've talked about this throughout the offseason, AJ Brown's not really a dark horse for me in my eyes. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I think he can do it. But for me, I have said all offseason long that AJ Brown is in the same tier of JJ, Chase, Amon-Ra to me. Like Hill, Lamb is your top A tier. Your bottom A tier is JJ, Chase, Amon-Ra for a lot of people. I put AJ Brown still in there. I've said that for weeks now. Like, I don't understand. I mean, he's been the wide receiver 5 and the wide receiver 6 in the last 2 years. He was on a historic pace last year to start the season. Really not to start, but between weeks 3 and 9. Like, I think he can finish as a wide receiver 1 for sure. For sure. I mean, it's going to be a different offense this year. They're going to utilize him differently. So he's still got the quarterback who can sling it to him. Like, and you can argue that AJ Brown is better quarterback play than Amon-Ra, JJ, Lamb, Chase, and Hill. You can argue it for sure. It's going to be Ladd McConkey. Maybe. You never know. Other dark horse name I like is Nico Collins still, but it's going to be really tough with how many mouths there are to feed in that offense. But I always talk about it sometimes, like a lot of mouths to feed can really, really help one guy because defenses just can't, commit to one guy. So, shall see. All right, that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a shorter stream tonight. Good little draft here. J-Dub's got a Hurts and Drake May. Say no more. Drake May. You didn't even get Hunter Henry, no stack there. I guess I ruined your second quarterback. Hurts is unstacked, but it's like, but he got Goddard. You got him at pick 54, so it's ridiculous. 14 picks against ADP. JT Pollard, Zeke, Davis, Lloyd, Gibby. I think Marshawn Lloyd, you're probably going to start to see more people take chances on. Chase, Moore, Coop, Godwin, D-Hop, Cooks, Downs, Boyd. Fine. Ingram, Goddard, definitely good there. I don't know when Will Levis got drafted in this draft. Wow, kind of early at 180. So I probably would have targeted Will Levis if I were you. But you were kind of put in a position where you couldn't. Team has Spears. I don't really know why they drafted Levis that early. See, I got Tua with Tyreek, Baker with McMillan, Carr and Olave. I'll take that. Zamir White, Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Chuba Hubbard, Damian Pierce. I feel like I've drafted this same running back room like several times this year. Hill, Olave, Ayuk, Pickens, Watson, Hollywood, McMillan. I usually would have one more wide receiver and just 2 tight ends. But we went 3-5-7-3. Kincaid, Komet, Ben Sinnott. Not bad. Take it. Philly, Dallas correlation. Technically, I have Gibby. Shares week 5 with Hurts. Nice. Barkley could be legendary if he doesn't stub his toe too hard. Barkley's going to have a great season. He's going to have a great season. Yeah, I was just kind of quickly looking at what other stacks he could have built. Just late, like with me accidentally sniping you, like what could you have pivoted to? I feel like that was the only real one. But once again, Levis went a little early. So is 180 early? I mean, I guess not that early. I mean, you had to get ready. What is your Ray Davis exposure, bro? What's up, Easy Money? Yeah, it's not that early for Levis. I need to get a league safe link up for league number 5. I will do that tomorrow. I'll get that set up tomorrow. Yeah, we need to try and get all the payments done by like Sunday. I keep forgetting to set up a league safe link for that for that league. So we'll get it in by this weekend. Glad you're playing this year, my guy. I'm sure I like to try different strategies, but what's your favorite pick to draft at? I mean, I would say either 10, 11, or 12. Although I did really come to like the early picks this year, like the 1, 2, and the 1, 3. But overall, I think like the 1, 6 or the 1, 7. I just feel like there was a lot of good value that fell to boards in that area. But honestly, yeah, I mean, I just have drafted so many teams this year from so many different draft spots that I just kind of got used to it. But I still feel like the end of the first was a really good place to draft. But like I said, some of those early picks I ended up really liking this year, where usually I don't like those. Yeah, I got you, J-Dubs. You're good. Yeah, I still think I'm in on this Falcons offense, though. I think I'm in on them. All right, let me show you guys my teams from tonight. All right, so this is a 3 wide receiver full PPR format. Jordan Love, Derrick Henry, Kamara, Amon-Ra, DJ Moore, T. Higgins, George Kittle, Xavier Worthy. I mean, I am happy with this starting lineup, but I'm just thin at wide receiver on this team. Jaden Daniels, Monty, Zach Moss, Spears. I definitely have running back depth if Henry or Kamara don't work out for some reason. Jaden Daniels behind Jordan Love. Demarcus Robinson had to take him. Had to. Then Hawkinson's on my IR. And I went ahead and picked up Schultz just because Kittle still makes me nervous. But, man, I got Kittle so late in this draft. I got Kittle at the 8.9 in this draft. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a good team. I just would rather have more wide receivers through kind of like I almost wish I went like Nico Collins over Henry. That would have left me with Kamara, Monty, Moss, and Spears, which I think I would have been okay with. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, J Dubs. But I think when I drafted Spears, yeah, like okay, so I will say Dontavion Wicks was there or Brandon Cooks. So Josh Downs, Dotson, Lockett. There were definitely names. The Spears pick was a little greedy for sure. Didn't really need him. Didn't really need him. But we'll see. Then the other team I drafted tonight. So this is a keeper league. A-Chain in the 10th was my keeper. I'm light at running backs. Opposite problem here. So this is also a league where quarterbacks go early and aggressive. So I just said good riddance. But Kirk Cousins, A-Chain, Rashad White, Tyreek Hill, Ayuk, Pitts, Flowers, Rasheed Rice. T-Law, I will be dropping Braylon Allen because I have to pick up a kicker in defense. Zamir, so Trevor Lawrence, Zamir White, Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Josh Downs. Drafted Hawkinson, he's on the IR. So I'm going to have to drop one player, then pick up a kicker or defense before season starts. I feel pretty good about this team. Wasn't really planning on drafting Kyle Pitts, and he fell pretty far in this draft. My second draft that I've taken Kyle Pitts because he's just fallen, and it just is like, okay. So I feel pretty good about this team, actually. Like I said, it's a keeper league, so like, yeah, I'm gonna draft a player like Braylon Allen at the end of the draft. But that was really the only like player that I took for that reason. Usually, I'm a bit more strategic about that, but this time around, not so much. Done 4 drafts to top 4 this week, so I'm swapping out with someone at 11. Nice. It was a long timer. I was surprised, but I forgot Chris usually does a long timer. Only Falcons offense I'm in on is Bijan. He's kind of borderline as well. London's going to be a bust. Cousins coming off injury. Maybe Pitts will finally have a great year. I'm in on them all. I'm in. Surprised you went Henry over A-Chain, really? I've been higher on Henry all offseason long. Take a shot on Pitts late in the draft, whether am I starting tight end or not. So I agree with that. I think elite tight end value is a bit pushed down this year. I mean, yeah, Pitts, Kittle, Ferguson, even in Joku. In some leagues you see Kincaid. Yeah, let's just roll through all my teams here. I did trade A-Chain for Henry. Catch league number 2 was Tua, Henry, White. This was a league. Would have been Tua, A-Chain, White. Tua, Henry, White, Lamb, Flowers, Pitts, Worthy, Addison, Daniels, Chuba, Algier, Deontay, Romeo, Dobbs. I feel like Deontay should be my starting lineup. I think I had a higher projection for Addison, so I left him in. There's another squad. Catch league number 3 is Purdy, Mixon, Swift, Hill, Lundo, Schultz, Ayuk, Rice, T-Law, Chuba, Hollywood, Deontay, Musgrave, Brooks, T-Hawk. I do like that team. Catch league number 4 is Herbert, Hall, Pacheco, Debo, Higgins, Goddard, Kirk, Worthy. I like that. A-Rod, Chuba, Deontay, Watson, Komet, Brooks, Hawkins. And I like this team a lot, but quarterback's a little interesting. Then the Superflex Catch League. This is a fun team. A-Rich and Jaden Daniels at quarterback. Barkley, Pacheco, Dell, Coop, Reed, Schultz at tight end. Stafford's my QB3. Mostert, Gus Bus, Sutton, Deontay. Chubb's on IR. And then I'm trying to pick up someone on waivers. I don't remember who it is. But someone. Won't show you guys so you don't try and steal them. But I really like this Superflex team, but it's so risky at the same time. Then my other Superflex home league, Lamar, Jordan Love, and Tua quarterback. It's ridiculous. This is a 10-team format. Pacheco, White, Collins, DJ Moore, Komet, Devonta, Pickens, Tua Ford, Brian Robinson, Hollywood, Freiermuth, Jonathan Brooks on IR. So I've got the Catch Fam Auction League this weekend. Catch League number 5. Catch League number 1. One more in-game draft, and then we're donezo. Yeah, I like McBride, but I feel like he goes too early in drafts to be considered. Like he's not really pushed down. I mean, last year you had Laporta in front of Kelsey. I didn't really like. I mean, yeah, like probably will be Kelsey and Laporta this year. Auction League is going to be fun. Yeah, I'm mad you're getting Pacheco. It's okay. Let me a risky team means true upside with A-Rich and Daniels. It's going to be fun. Some really interesting Dynasty teams, too. I'm really worried about in lead number 1. I think my starting lineup's great, but I don't really love my bench. Burrow, Henry, White, St. Brown, Ayuk, Cup, Pat F, Flowers, Kirk, Prescott. Purdy on the bench is great. Then I got Hill, Foreman, McMillan, Ladd, Cooks, Boyd, DeMarcus Robinson. Shaheed Conklin. I mean, it's fine. I have no running back depth. Taxi squad is Carson Steele, Stover, Whittingham, Walker. Not awful. I'm just worried about that I'm going to like tear down this team next year. JW got Stroud, Stevenson, White, Lamb, Waddle, Metcalf, and Njoku, Moore, Reed, Herbert, Carr, Gibby, Warren, Chandler, Bateman, Randall, Henry, Schultz, Otten. Looks like you can pick up someone, right? Davis, Washington, Leggett. I mean, your team's good. I feel like our teams are similar. Your bench is not like off the walls crazy good. It's fine. But your starting lineup is good. It really comes down to Herbert's health for you. Wide receivers are crazy good, though. All right, this is a team that I drafted really young. Still have all my draft picks. And I really think this team is like contending now. Burrow, A-Chain, Pacheco, Olave, Ayuk, Watson, McBride, JSN, Roma Dunze, Purdy. Then the bench is Taysom Hill, Rodgers, Eckler, CH, Dowdle, Gainwell, Chuba, Thielen, Downs, Komet. Taxi squad has Blake Corum, Jermaine Burton, Jatavon Sanders, and Theo Johnson. Probably need to move Blake Corum up. I don't think there's anyone I can move to my taxi squad, though. There's one of these teams I really like. This team is good except for tight end, but I do have Hawkinson on this squad. Herbert, Kyron, Rashad White, St. Brown, Pittman, Rice, Taysom Hill, Swift, Mostert, Jaden Daniels, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, Carson Steele, Herbert, Lockett, Demarcus Robinson, Elijah Moore, Romeo Dobbs, Jatavion Sanders. I have Higbee and Hawkinson on IR, who I'm going to need. Eric Gray, Walker, Howell, and Evan Hull, who did he get cut today? He got waived. I feel like I need to go ahead and drop him. Yeah, I feel like I'm dropping Evan Hull. Carson Steele on the taxi. All right, this last team I really like. This is like a team that needs to hit the chip this year. T-Law, A-Chain, White, Puka, Garrett Wilson, Debo, Kittle, Devonta Smith, Christian Kirk, 1 QB Dynasty team. This starting lineup is so loaded. Russell Wilson, Jared Goff, Monty, Michael Wilson, Demarcus Robinson, Dotson, Johnson, great tight end depth. Ben Sinnott, Freiermuth, and Musgrave behind Kittle. McCarthy's on IR. Stover, Bo Melton. Oh, gosh, another league where I'm dropping Evan Hull. Dude, I'm about to put Quentin Johnston on the taxi squad. This is a league where I have to go back and look. Okay, I drafted. Okay, I traded back out of the 4.4. So that doesn't hurt as much. I traded back out of the 4.4. That's where I drafted Quentin Johnston. That is gross still. DJ Moore, George Pickens, Terry McLaurin, all on the board there. But I got Debo at the... Okay, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. I traded out of the 4-4 where Metcalf was taken, which I would far rather have Metcalf or Ayuk, who went at the 4-6, or Addison at the 4-9, even with his situation, or Adams at the 4-10 over Quentin Johnston any day. So I remember just thinking like I wanted to draft a rookie wide receiver really badly right there. And then I just drafted Dotson at the 5-9. I thought I traded up to draft Dotson, but I did not. So it's not as bad as I remember. Wow, I drafted Chase Brown in this. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. That was a traded pick. Never mind. I did draft Puka in this league, though. Look at me. All right, that's not as bad as I remember it being. All right, let me see. Will there be another mock? No, no more mocks, Kyrie. Only difference in League One Superflex that you have no picks or rookies in the taxi. I have Carson Steele. Actually, my taxi squad's okay in that league. Oh, I mean, yeah, if we're breaking down draft picks and everything, you're probably you're in a far better position for sure. I'm screwed in that league if I don't win this year. I know. I'm still holding on to Sam Howell in one league. Traded a fourth for him. All right, guys. Great stream tonight. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for the fantasy questions. J-Dubs, thank you for drafting with me. Be back on tomorrow night. It's that time of year, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to panic. It's time to get scared. It's time to trade. Maybe. We'll find out. All right. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the catch, fam. I'll talk to you guys soon. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the catch. And